Okay, Rod, over to you.
Thanks, Jason, and welcome Tony and Matthew Hopkins and Tony Nikovlik. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks, Rod. How you going, mate?
Thanks for giving us the opportunity to come and basically give an outline of the success in filing an application in the Supreme Court of New South Wales against that hazard in, and I mean no offence to that because it is a hazard in the New South Wales government, pretty much is a milestone, and it's really great to see legal firms coming out now and standing up to these people that think that they're above the law.
Yeah, we're in the ring, Rod. We're in the ring. Okay, so it's a big step. I can tell you that there are a lot of law firms and lawyers standing with us and working to try and make sense of this situation. And we are being contacted by thousands of people who are worried, confused, looking for direction and looking for hope, and looking for some mechanism to assert our personal liberty. So we're in the ring, and we'll bring these bureaucrats and ministers into the ring, and we'll find out who's correct at law.
Well, it's good because, Matt, I'd like to, I have touched on it, but just to, give our viewers a bit of background, how you and I came together, I guess. You stood with GAP as a senator for New South Wales as a candidate to get into the big house. And you were at that stage, you were still, yes, you didn't quite have your certificate or practicing certificate in law, and now you've got it. And I just think it's fantastic that you've been able to join a firm that's that pretty much is prepared to bounce the ball and start playing this game at a coming out and really giving these guys a good run for their money.
Yeah, that's it's important fight, Rod. It's important fight, and and Tony's great. He stands there. So we're side by side, and like I said, there's many other lawyers as well that are standing with us to try and bring some sense to this.
And that's going to give a lot of viewers comfort, because I'm the same. I'm speaking to a lot of people, and everyone is just dumbfounded how this government is just treating us, how these premiers are just overriding the Commonwealth Parliament. It's just incredible. So, Tony, you're there without a camera. Can I just get you to come on and just sort of give us some sort of background? I know you can't say too much, but just a touch. I understand you want to pretty much put an estoppel on the minister and Dr. Chant. Is that correct?
Yeah, look, there are a few things. Firstly, just touching on something, Matty, you raised with Matty just a moment ago. I think he's an integral part. I will say one thing. I know perhaps I'm up the front or whatever, obviously as the firm, but I think everyone should know the important role Matt has and the ideas he brings to the firm. I just think, it's something, he's an unsung hero when it comes to sort of, analysing things. So I just wanted to put that out there for everyone just to know. In terms of the legal proceedings, we've been looking at this for some time, and it's really been a case of how do we massage this in a way to where we do it in a non-conflictual way. Well, that was our view, right? So we made a number of attempts, and I think everyone knows the letter of the 7th of July. That was essentially it wasn't derogatory. I think it was very objective. It was, hey, let's have a look at the real science, and not the science that we're being fed. One of the important factors there was, maybe a lot of people don't understand that a lot of influential figures in our society that we would typically rely on for education, objective information, and information relating to health and welfare have been silenced. And not only have been silenced, but they are continually being silenced. I put that down to similar to putting duct tape over our doctors and our scientists. Okay, a doctor or a scientist or a lawyer, a barrister, our duty is to the people.
Absolutely.
It's not to an ideology. It's not to a political party. It is to your patient or to your client. And to that end, I've got cases flying through our office here, and of attempts to silence doctors for attempting to provide education as to how to best manage this. Now, Matt was right. There's people calling. We're talking thousands. I mean, we were joking a moment ago with Jason on the line there, and it wasn't a joke. It was more a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek, where really we look at our email, and Matt and I wake up in the morning and we just look at it and we go, my goodness. But that's showing the desperation out there. And, we've got people out there. I'm telling you, we've got some really good doctors and people wanting to help, but every time they try and provide something, we've got regulators threatening them with deregistration. I find that to be unacceptable. That's just unacceptable.
Absolutely. And of course, the Prime Minister, comes out with a nonsense statement, says, when the whole, when we reach the level of 80% vaccination, everything will return to normal. Well, that's just absolute nonsense, because 25,000 people are losing their jobs. People can't pay their rent. Listen, and as much as I don't like saying this, they tell me that some of the single mothers are getting propositioned by landlords that on ways to pay out the rent. It's just absolutely disgraceful the way Australia is at the moment, and it just makes me sick, and that makes us more determined. And I'm just so proud that a legal firm, and certainly Matt, because he's had a lot to do with GAP, have come together and just gone ahead, because you know what, your firm is at risk too. And because they could say, well, we're going to put the pressure on here. As soon as you try to do something against this system, they just come out and shut you down and defang you.
I think one of the crucial things is I think our position really is we're not going against the system. I use the analogy as, you shouldn't have to fight for your freedom when you're born free. That's something we sort of look at here. It's not about going against any system. When you stick up for your human rights, and if you look after your, what those principles of those inalienable rights, and, obviously I always refer to those Syracuse principles, where in circumstances of martial law or national emergency, there should be a proportional way out, or where you can look at things. Well, there is no proportion here. One of the things, I've spoken to some very experienced professors around the world in my time through this, that 80% goal, you're not going to get to zero. Everyone, I think that's a pie in the sky. I think if you're going to do that, let's start chasing unicorns. I think on the other side, 80%, well, get 80% of your elderly, because the risk is at 99.95% survivability rate, and that's the elderly, okay? That's the elderly who are at the highest risk. So you're looking at a 0.5%. So children, I believe the latest report that was tendered in the one that no one's seen yet, but the one Matt's privy to as well, and also before the court, is of the children at 0.002%. Okay, all right, and people between 20 to 35, it's at 0.023%. So why are we locking all these people down?
Well, you know what? You've got more chance of getting struck by lightning on a sunny day. That's really what it's come down to. And if they think that they can capture this virus, like I said in my video, they've got more chance of wrestling with smoke. I mean, it's just not acceptable.
Well, it's certainly not. It's certainly not.
And look at the people committing suicide. Look, there's more people doing self-harm and committing suicide than what there is catching this this so-called disease.
Well, the harm to benefit ratio, Rod, that's a very good point, is one where I think again in that letter I put it out there. If you look at the life expectancy of people, it really has. I think it's actually plateaued or perhaps potentially even gone up during COVID. These are stats I got off the Australian government website. How can a catastrophic? You can't say because of lockdowns. I think it's almost, I use that saying post hoc ergo propter hoc, just because it's a Latin term, just because B follows A doesn't mean A caused B. It doesn't mean that, okay? Just because you're locked down, because a classic example is what you have now. We have these massive lockdowns, but cases are spiraling with what they call the Delta variant, but it's 4.33 times, according to the latest stats, 4.33 times less fatal than the Alpha variant. We got through the Alpha variant without a vaccine.
That's right. And, why aren't they considering ivermectin and others, and this is the whole thing. They're saying, well, we just didn't get the rollout of the vaccine, but it just seems to be the vaccine that they want to give us. And we have a choice to choose what we, if there are other ones out there, and ivermectin has been proven to be safe, and, we have a right to use it. So.
Yeah, no, I agree.
All right. Well, Matt, I understand this is you've got an urgent application. Is something on, not tomorrow, or is it the 3rd, is it?
Yes, we're just looking to get an expedited hearing, given the nature of the matter. People are being really heavily coerced, heavily pressured into taking, it's an injection. I don't know if you could call it a vaccine. It provides, by account, it provides no immunity or a reduced immunity. So I don't know how they can call it a vaccine, but under the orders, people are required to receive a dose of a COVID-19 vaccine or they can't work. This affects millions of people. It's across the state now. It's different industries, teachers, nurses. It defies logic, Rod. I can't make sense of it, mate. The risk analysis, it just doesn't stack up. You've got a disease that really has no distinguishing characteristics from any other respiratory disease. So the diagnosis of COVID-19 is subjective. We have these definitions of cases and mortalities that are questionable. So one can be forgiven for thinking that we have a constructed health emergency to roll out some kind of agenda. The suppression of other treatments for a cold and flu, the censorship of medical practitioners if they dare to speak out contrary to the narrative, the fact that healthy people, their innate immune system will prevent them from getting sick. So why are we injecting them with a gene technology? Why? And what's the rush? What's the rush? It doesn't make sense at all. And that's why people are scared. People are worried, and people know that the adverse reactions are happening. So we have to stand up for the right to people to choose. There's no more basic fundamental liberty than the right to choose what you do with your body.
That's right. And you know, how could you be a police officer out there? They must be in two minds. I mean, this is really going to test out one of the biggest issues is the unelected officials giving these orders, which, you know, they certainly don't have any input into the democratic process. But I mean, a lot of this stuff in Parliament's just flying through without you know, passing the democratic process or requirements of Parliament. I mean, Matt Canavan came out and said that the other day, and I can vouch for that. They just push things through. I mean, half the time no one's in there. So look, this is a landmark case. I'm so proud of you guys. And, you know, we've certainly from time to time, Matt, you've been raising it, and to actually get it in, get it filed and start the engine. I think you guys, this is a landmark case, and you know, it's certainly a good argument. I mean, at the end of the day, you got the Constitution behind you, so we'll see how they go.
Yeah, Rod, look, we've been telling people, because we're getting a lot of desperate people, you know, and we've just been saying, hold the line, okay? And we just want them to keep holding the line. We can't lose this battle of personal sovereignty over our body. And so we hope that people can see this this case going forward, and from that having some hope that their bodily integrity is going to be respected. And that's really the message that we want to tell people. Just, there is hope, there is a fight, and just hold the line. You know, I've got people contacting me all the time, and I say to them, you know, I wouldn't take it personally. No, for me, no job would be worth the jab.
Yeah, if I could just add something on that, Rod, if I could just say, I know, like a lot of people, we're not going against anything. You want me to tell you where the character of this is coming from? It's coming from the character of the people, the Australian people. Number one, we don't like being bullied. Okay, that's number one. The Australian people always stick up to a bully. So if we got to go to work or something like that, and someone says, you must do this, or this is going to happen to you, because effectively that's what's happening, right? If you don't do this, this is what I'm going to do to you. Well, quite frankly, it takes me back to those days where, you know, the old bully in the playground would say, oh, you know, if you don't think like me, you can go on your own, because that's the social psychology side of this. Okay, you go over there and you can be ostracized and stigmatized. And what's unfortunate, we've got this collective imagination in society where people seem to think, well, they, you know, because I wear a red shirt or a blue shirt or whatever, I'm good or bad. Well, no. You have a heart, you stick up for yourself, right? You stick up to a bully. Now, we're not going against anything. We're defending something.
Absolutely.
Okay? That's what we're doing. We're not going against anyone. We're not going against anything. You did not see anyone here standing up on the streets doing anything wrong. It's only when they started encroaching upon the family. And what's most important, one that I get very concerned about, is how they, and I spoke about those risk groups. They're the lowest risk groups they are. Now they're coming after the children. Okay.
I absolutely, and I was about to bring that up. I mean, that is just, look, I just sympathise. I mean, could you imagine a single mother or any mother, you know, and now seeing laws being passed in the state, or so-called laws that can come and basically, you know, I think in South Australia, can come into your home and grab your children. I mean, who are these people that we have in Parliament? You know, and I said in an earlier bit, what are they doing? You look at the Senate, the whole Senate, you haven't heard from them. You know, they're just you know, they need to get out.
I think, what's his name? Sorry, what's his name? Malcolm Roberts has spoken up a few times. I don't know. What's your view on that?
I think Malcolm, as much as he comes forward, I think he needs to check his advisors, because, you know, it's a good thing to come out, but make sure you got your facts right. And it's a bit disappointing. I commend him for coming out. Look, I've worked with Malcolm, as you know. So, but anyway, we've just, what you're doing is getting it right. This is a very, very landmark, you know, high landmark case, and I commend you guys. I'm so proud of you. I really am so proud of you.
Mate, we're proud of the Australian people, Ron, and we're proud of guys like you.
But you know,
not us. We're nothing without you guys. I'll tell you that now. It may sound very humble, but It is, because without people like you, without people like Jace that's on the line there, without those mums and dads, without those tradies, those miners, without those police officers and fireys and, paramedics, me and Matt, we just go to work and we become transactional lawyers. But we there's something here, like I said, we're not going against something. We're defending something, and we're defending the rights, and we're going to do our best, okay? We're going to take some hits. Matt's absolutely right. You know that too, Rod. We're going to take some hits, but this is a 12-rounder, okay? There might be a few TKOs here, but we just need everyone to stand with us.
Yeah.
Well, Muhammad Ali, won the great fight, didn't he, in the 8th round? So we'll just let him belt into us, and they'll exhaust themselves.
We've had some brave people stand up, and we're representing clients. That's the thing here. So we've got some Aussies that have stood up as plaintiffs. They're the real heroes here, Rod. And this is an opportunity as well for everyone that's affected to come in behind them, because the next stage of this is to broaden out the class and to get as many people on this ticket as we can, because it affects so many people. We've had that many inquiries, that many people reach out to us. It was we could have gone with hundreds, if not thousands, of plaintiffs in this action. We've got some brave and courageous Australians that are leading it, and it's an opportunity for everyone to come in behind them, join the action, and that'll be the next phase. And so it's everyone's fight.
Well, we've got employers too, Matt? Rod, we've actually started. We're getting employers, Rod. They're actually starting to come on board saying we don't want to mandate it. Now,
no, because you know why? Like the government's killing all small business. They just, we can go right back. They killed the wool industry, the dairy industry, the bloody beef industry. They have just killed every industry, and now basically they're throwing the small businesses and that under the bus, because there will be restitution against them. That, like you were saying, they can't come out and try and force you to something. That's coercion. They don't have any legal authority to do so. And the other thing is, if you have life insurance, turn around and say, yeah, well, okay, if I get this, are you going to cover my life insurance? If, indemnify me for anything. They'll soon run for the hills, and any insurance company, as you know, will use any excuse to get out of paying anyone. The whole thing is so terrible, and this, you're going to have so many people back this case. It is brilliant, and thank you. I just can't thank you enough. I mean, we do all our bit, but they try to keep us out of the parliament. But when you can go into the court now, and I know it's always a tough gig, but you've got an audience, and you're a starter in a race, and that's all we need. And I think that's what gives all Australians are fighters. They'll fight. They just need to know which fight they need to be in. And that's the frustrating thing. You guys are giving clarity to that, and this will just spawn into better times for all people. And I'm so proud.
Well, thanks, Rod. Thanks, Jace.
We love having you on board, mate. I said to Matty earlier that I did a 5-minute live, just touching on the key highlights of your media release. And that was just under 3 hours ago, and it's just hit 30,000 views already. And that's just on my page. I mean, we've got the National Senate. This is going to go viral, and people are watching and people are listening. And it's something you said, Tony. They really are looking for people to stand up. And what they don't see is you two gentlemen. We can't see you, Tony. We can see Matt's mug, which is lovely. But we needed people, and we need to give people surety. And just to probably reiterate what Rob was saying, we need to give people surety. There are a bucket load of people doing a ton of work behind the scenes. We saw it in Victoria with some of the documents filed down there in the Supreme Court as well. So people need to take confidence that there is a lot of good people. And as Matt said earlier, there's a lot of lawyers standing up here. So hats off.
Yeah, they are. And I spoke to Johnny down there, helped him out with that PCR case. He's a very passionate young chap. When he and you know what, I'm just proud to see, he stood up, and that's what we want to see. And I'll be very candid with you today. I've spoken to a few lawyers just today, and ask Matt, we're getting lawyers saying, you know what, at night I'll help you. and you know, so they go to work, they do their hard yakka, they, you know, it's like, you know, the last thing you want to do is come home and work, but the passion, you can see the passion. But we've got people who work all day and they come back and I'll answer your phones, or I'll run this over there for you. And so, you know, that passion, you can see the Australian spirit, and I get goosebumps. I really do, because you can see how we're touching on that Aussie spirit. And that's why I was saying to you, they're starting to stick up against that bully. And I think Dan Bongino said it the best. And I'm usually very apolitical. I very rarely go there. But when you write a letter to both sides, the larger political parties, and they treat you with contempt, they're not treating me with contempt because I was writing it on behalf of someone, right? They're treating those people with contempt. But then when comes election day, they'll run into a pub and they'll take a photo next to the tradies and the miners. They'll take a photo next to the construction workers, the nurses, the fireys, the coppers, and look at what they're doing. Okay, they don't care.
Yeah, they're doing the kiss the baby. I just want to make a point, if I can, Rod, on that. Tony, it's a great point. I've got thousands of messages today after this live, and everybody's saying to us, you know, thank you so much, thank you so much. And 2 people said it, and it's such an outstanding comment. I've heard nothing from my local member. So Rod and I aren't paid. You guys, obviously, you know, you're doing your fantastic work. We're not paid a cent to do what we're doing. We're doing this because we love our country and the people. The people sitting in Parliament have 7 staff. They're doing nothing. They're doing nothing to support the people out there, giving them advice, taking documents that are, you know, you guys have drawn up and drafted and shared around. They're doing nothing. We're not hearing anything from these local members or the senators.
And the police are going arresting people because their representatives are doing a no-show. So the person that they voted for to come out and uphold their rights and the laws of this country are doing a no-show, and the coppers are arresting them in the street because they're politically protesting for their rights, acting under law. And this is what I say to people. These police need to have a real good look at themselves, because I believe, and the law states that they're starting to step into civil jurisdiction. You know, they really need, and I'd be urging people to get the personal names of each of these officers, because a lot of them are trying to enforce laws that haven't passed in Parliament, really. So,
yeah, look, if I could just touch on that just slightly, there's always 2 camps, right? So you've got that camp, and people, you know, there's lawyers out there that are very experienced and they know exactly how to go after those sorts of things, and they'll use the law. They'll use the law and they'll follow the law, just as what happened there. But I can assure you, and Matt's very well aware of this, is that we do have many police who have called up saying words to the effect that our statement of values has been torn up and shredded. Okay, and the reason upon which we put that uniform on or joined to represent that uniform is gone. Okay, yes. we are taking directives, and we've lost that sense of discretion. Okay, because you know, you can send a contract to a serial killer and he just says, I'm following orders, right? But how far do you follow the order?
Exactly. And when they look at it, their ministers getting paid more than the Prime Minister, you know, alarm bells should be going off. And the way that these police officers, the way that these so-called police officers are supposed to be upholding the Crown, and they go along, and how they treat their own Australians by slamming them down and doing that, it is just disgraceful. They're power drunk with power, and their day will come too. I'm sorry, not all police are guilty of the offence, but the ones, I tell you, there will be a day of reckoning. No question. If we get into Parliament, I'll make sure it happens.
Yeah, there are some very right. I'll tell you what, I said to someone the other day, this has been a highly polarising event for all of Australia. We're not going against anyone. We're just looking at it and we're defending ourselves. It's been a highly polarising event for all of Australia. We're getting all these divisive messages. They're coming from both major parties, right? There's no unity. They're saying, for you to be a friend of mine, you got to do X, Y, Z. Well, mate, if you give me a condition, okay, you're literally being a bully, okay? all right, you're literally being a bully. So for me, it's one of those things where we got to look at ourselves as a nation and say, where are we going? And look, that's not for a lawyer to do, but when you sit back and you look at this, we really need to take a good hard look at ourselves. And when I look around, we see so many good people, and that's what I've said. Like, there's that polarized event, but it's actually brought people together.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see what's happened? You've got the fireys, you've got the police, you've got the doctors, you've got, experienced lawyers, you've got the politicians now coming out, and there are some very good ones, not in the major parties, unfortunately. But they're really coming out and they're starting to show that, this is what Australia's about. Okay. There is a diverse opinion. We need to respect that. We can't just push people under rocks, and if we don't like their opinion and send regulators out after them to silence them. I find that to be absolutely disgusting. And that's an opinion of mine. But I cannot see how, we can stifle people in a free democracy. Obviously, this is a liberal democracy, right? We need to operate like that. That's why those guys went to war. Okay.
Absolutely. And we are for them. Absolutely.
Now
we
it's
are
our turn
for our kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right. Because they're just racking up the debt. And, someone said the other day, which was a very important point, they reckon plastic bottles are polluting this bloody planet. Those face masks are catching up real quick, I can tell you. So it's just destroying everything. And look, it's time for them. No more majors, get out. And that's why we've come up with the CADCO, the cooperative. And, we just got to keep going and upholding our law. And our law is there and we must uphold it. We have a duty for that. But look, thank you, guys. And you've got a very important, further announcement, Tony, that's coming out tomorrow. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, possibly, mate. Let me just, I want to see.
No,
old ducks and drakes, mate. You know what I mean? Is it a duck? Is it a drake?
What are you talking about in Parliament, or
No. No. We've got some big announcement coming. I think at the end of the day, I think Rod and Matt hit it earlier. It's all about unity, right? It's about sticking together. That's what this country's about, right? It's about sticking together. And, it doesn't matter whether I like chocolate or vanilla ice cream. We should be respecting each other's views, okay? And that's how we got here. Why are we diverting away from that now? It's just not making any sense to me. And we're not attacking anyone. We're not going after it. We're just defending ourselves. That's what. Well,
I tell you what, you've got all the support. You've got a big support with the tribal elders of this great nation, and you've got a lot of support out there, and definitely from Great Australian Party. Matt, you've always, you've been part of the family for a long time, and it's just really proud that you've come in and this law firm has stood up, and it's just fantastic. It really is. And look, all Australians should be so proud of you, and I'm sure they will be. So
Tony started this law firm for these fights, Rod, and this is not the only fight we've got going. So this is not the only action. So we're not stopping until we win. Yeah?
Oh, well, Tony, what a shame you and I didn't meet a few years ago. I could have done
it. But I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have, I'm telling you, mate, I'm very blessed to have a bloke like Matty on the team. I'm not just saying that, but I really am, mate. And obviously the team's getting bigger, okay? And, we've met a couple other people. We've got a couple other lawyers helping us now, eh, Matt? And I'll tell you what.
They make us look bad.
Yeah. Gee, they're stuff. I'm thinking about, maybe giving them, one of those declaration type regulator notices, just sit back there and don't say nothing, sorry, I don't do that. So.
Anyway, all I can say is I was very nervous coming on here because I sort of did when I saw the release, when Matt sent me the media release, I was that excited, and I'm not that savvy when it comes to live streaming, but I sort of laid on my side there for a while, and I was, but I blame the ploughman lunch that we had, but I think we've done pretty well I've been holding this with nerves all the way through this interview, but I'll keep holding it for the next week if it means getting remedy in this country. So, look, guys, GAP is right behind you, and I want to let all our listeners know we'll be giving you updates. I'll be contacting Matt, and so not to be a nuisance, but certainly just getting updates, and stay focused on or stay tuned to GAP Facebook, and we'll be giving you updates as they come through.
Thanks, Rod. Thanks, Chase. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tone.
Jason.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks,
Please
Rod.
give our thanks to the rest of the team too, mate. We know there's a bunch that's following you, buddy.
They're great. They're great. They are guns.
And look, can we just say to all Australians, don't throw the Barbie out just yet, because we reckon we'll be using them after
we
this.
will.
All right.
We will.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Bless
guys,
everyone.
signing
Take
off.
care.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thanks a
Yeah.
lot.
See you,
Cheers.
Rod.
Okay.
See you,
Cheers.
Jace.
See you
See
guys.
you, Maddie. See you guys.